We are looking today at the Module 4 study guide. So hopefully you have a copy of this in front of you and you can follow along with me. Now let's start with number 1. It says Mr. Dyson bought 5 gallons of paint. He used 3/4 of the 5 gallons. Notice that key word right there. He used 3/4 of the 5 gallons to paint his house. Oh, my pencils won't go out on me. Okay. 3/4 of, and we know of means in this case to multiply. 3/4 of the 5 gallons. So I want to know what 3/4 of 5 is. So that means I multiply. So it says, how much paint did Mr. Dyson use? So I'm going to set it up. 3/4 of means times 5. Now, we know when I see a whole number here, I can slap a 1 under it. And when we're multiplying fractions, we just go straight across. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 1 is 4. I've got an improper fraction. I've got to divide to fix it. 4 won't go into 1, but 4 will go into 15. 3 times 4 is 12. Subtract 3, stop and rock. 3 3/4. And we know that's in simplest form already. And if you look at your answer choices, B would be the answer. 3 3/4. Okay, moving on to number, and be careful, by the way, don't just make sure you did circle 3 3/4. Don't let 3 1/4. Don't get in a hurry and circle A and move on. So be very careful there. All right, number 2 says, which model best represents this multiplication equation? All right, so they've got it set up here for us, and we're just going to do top times top, bottom times bottom. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 3 is 15. Normally, I would check to see if this was in simplest form. I can tell you it is in simplest form, but since they're wanting me to compare this to a model, I don't usually have to check for simplest form in this case. You take the very first answer you get. And I'm looking for 4 shaded out of 15. Now, 4 shaded, that means they got both patterns. And if you'll look at this one, let me get a pen where we can see it. This one only has 1 that got both patterns. This one has 4 that got both patterns, so this could be my answer. This one got 6 with both patterns. Can you see that both patterns, it makes like a waffle weave? And this has 4. So right now, if you notice, I can say A is a stupid answer, C is a stupid answer, and I'm down to B and D because they both have 4. My numerator 4, they both have the crosshatch pattern. But what makes D the answer is they went all the way across with their pattern. Look, when they did 2/5, they did 2 out of 5 all the way down from top to bottom. And then 2/3, they did 2 out of 3. Notice we've got 3. 1, 2, 3. And 2 of them went all the way across. That makes D the answer here. B, if you notice, they didn't go all the way across for their 2/3, and they didn't go all the way from top to bottom with their 2/5. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's why B won't work here. This could be very tricky. Make sure when you're choosing your answer on the test that their pattern goes all the way from side to side and top to bottom. Okay? Move on to number 3. If I'm going too fast for you, what I would actually encourage you to do is pause it, you work it yourself, and then see if your answer matches mine. Okay, let's go to number 3. Sally drew an incorrect model to represent 3 times a half. Here's what Sally drew. Hers is wrong. Which fraction model shows the correct way to draw 3 times a half? That means I want 3 of these. I want 3 of the halves. I want a half to happen 3 times. Now look at the choices. Which one shows me 1/2 happening 3 times? All right, this is 2/3, 2/3, 2/3. 1/3, 1/3. 1/2, 1/2. 1/2, 1/2, 1/2. So the only answer that it could be is D, because this is 1/2, this is 1/2, and this is 1/2, and it happened 3 times. Okay? If it helps you, show your work by writing. This is 2/3, 2/3, 2/3. Okay? You could do that on every one of these and mark out all of the ones that won't work. All right, look at number 4. Riley used the following model to show 4/5 times 4. So here's his model. He did 4/5 plus 4/5 plus 4/5 plus 4/5. Which is the solution? The solution is the answer to 4/5 times 4. That means I'm just going to solve it. So we've got, I'll slap a 1 here. Top times top, bottom times bottom. And normally I'll do that unless I see where cross-canceling could help me make numbers a little smaller, make them more friendly to work with. But these are okay so far. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 1 is 5. And I know this is improper, and when it's improper, I have to divide and fix it. The top number goes in. 5 will go into 16. 3 times, I need to put a 0 there just to hold that place. 3 times 5 is 15. Subtract 1, stop and rock. 3 1/5. So when I look over here at my answer choices, I see the answer right here. And I know that's in simplest form because I had a 1 on top. Anyway, that's why I didn't do factor trees with it. Okay, moving on to number 5. All right. Number 5 is one of these. I'm going to cover all these just to keep all this wordiness from blending so much. It says Miss Dolan has 12 books. Each book weighs 9/8 pounds. Now, what do you notice about that 9/8 right now? It's an improper fraction. So we know this is greater than 1. Right? Which statement about the total weight of the 12 books is true? Now we know if there were 12 books and each book weighed 1 pound, the weight would be 12 books at 1 pound each. That'd be 12 pounds. If each book is more than 1 pound, that means my weight is going to be more than 12 pounds. So let's look at what my answer choices tell me. They're asking me to look for the true statement about the total weight of the 12 books. The total weight of the books equals 12 pounds. They're saying it equals 12 pounds because 9/8 is the same as 1. Now, we just talked about that. Is 9/8 the same as 1? No, we said 9/8 was greater than 1. See, it's good that I pointed that out right here. I put my thought process down. So I don't want A. That's not very smart to me. The total weight of the books is greater than 12 pounds because 9/8 is greater than 1. I like that. That's telling the truth. The total weight would be greater than 12 because 9/8 is greater than 1. And if each book weighs more than 1 pound, all 12 of them would be greater than 12 pounds. But let's don't get cocky. Let's go to C. The total weight of the books is greater than 12 pounds because 9/8 is less than 1. Wrong. I don't like that one. The total weight of the books is less than 12 pounds because 9/8 is less than 1. Again, I don't like what that's saying because we know 9/8 is greater than 1. So I don't want D. So the answer I want is B. Don't let all these words confuse you. Read them carefully. Underline key things like I did. That's how you show your work in math. It's not necessarily working a problem out. You show your work by writing your thought process down, ruling out answers that won't work. All right, let's look at number 6. The product, remember what product is, that's an answer when we multiply. The product of 5/8 and another fraction. So if I'm wanting the product of 5/8 and another fraction, that means I multiply them. Since the product of 5/8 and another fraction is greater than 5/8. So that means when I multiply 5/8, excuse me, I didn't mean to put an X there. I'm getting ahead of myself. When I multiply 5/8 times some fraction, they're telling me my answer is going to be greater than 5/8. So what could I multiply 5/8 by to get an answer greater than 5/8? Now, if I multiply 5/8 times 7/8, see, we know this is less than 1, right? And if I do less than 1 times another fraction less than 1, remember, these are proper fractions. Remember, when you multiply a proper fraction times another proper fraction, when you say equals, you get a product that is less than either one of these. So I don't want 7/8. 5/8 times 1/5. That's going to give me the same situation. This is less than 1. It's a piece. Times 1/5, that's another piece. Remember, when we do a piece of a piece, the answer we get, the product, will always be less than either one of these because these were proper fractions. A proper fraction times another proper fraction will give us a product that is less than either one of these. All right, look at this one. 5/8 times 8/1. Now, this is greater than 1. So that means I'm multiplying 5/8 times a number or a fraction greater than 1. So if I was multiplying it by 1, it would equal 5/8. But if I'm doing 5/8 times a number greater than 1, that means my answer will be greater than 5/8. So I might want this one. All right, 5/8 times 8/10. This is less than 1. It's a piece. So when I do a piece times a piece, my answer will be less than either one of these. So if I was going to multiply 5/8 times one of these, and I wanted my product to be greater than 5/8, then I've got to go with a fraction that is greater than 1. So I want C. And see, I can work that. And just to check it, 5/8 times 8/1 is greater than 5/8. See, look at that. 40/8. And 40 divided by 8 is 5. So that gives us 5 wholes. So C is what I want for number 6. Okay, number 7. Tara spent 7 hours at the beach. Tara spent 3/4 of that time swimming. How many hours did she spend swimming? She spent, we know, 7 hours at the beach. And it says Tara spent 3/4, which looks like this, of that time. What was that time? 7 hours. So I want 3/4 of 7. So I'll set it up. We know 3/4 of 7 means 3/4 times 7. Slap a 100. Go across. 3 times 7 is 21. 4 times 1 is 4. It's an improper fraction. I've got to divide to fix it. 4 won't go into 2, but 4 will go into 21 5 times. So I know 5 is going to be my whole number. Look at your answer choices. This could be my answer, but I don't want to get cocky. 5 times 4 is 20. Subtract 1. Stop and rock. 5 1/4 hours. And there it is. There it is. Notice when you see the fractions in word form or the numbers in word form, underline them and make it a number so that it'll stand out a little more to you. Do it like I did it. Okay, let's go to number 8. I'll cover this so that the words don't all blend. Mina had a piece of fabric. She cut 2/9 of her fabric and used 8/9 of that piece for an art project. What fraction of her fabric did she use for her art project? Well, it says she used 8/9 of that piece. Well, what was that piece? What piece are they talking about? They must be talking about the 2/9. So that piece would now be called 2/9. So she used 8/9 of 2/9. So I multiply these. Come across. 8 times 2 is 16. 9 times 9 is 81. And I already see that right here. I could try to put it in simplest form, but since I already see it, and I'm pretty sure, let me make sure I did this right. She cut 2/9 of her fabric and used 8/9 of that piece for an art project. What fraction of her fabric did she use for her art project? Okay, she used 8/9 of 2/9, and 16 over 81 is right. And that's probably in simplest form. But we'll move on. Since I see my answer, I'm moving on. Number 9. There are 18 students in Luisa's class. Each student has 3/8 of an ounce of glue. How much glue does the class have in all? Simplify your answer. See, they're telling me right now to make sure my answer is in simplest form. Well, let's think of the situation. We've got 18 students. Each student has 3/8 of an ounce of glue. So they all have a piece of an ounce, don't they? So student 1 has 3/8. Student 2 has 3/8. Student 3, 3/8. Student 4, 3/8. Student 5 has 3/8. Student 6 has 3/8. Student 7 has 3/8. All the way, 18 students have 3/8 each. So that means 3/8 is happening how many times? It's going to happen 18 times. So I could just say 18 times 3/8 equals, we're going to slap a 1 right here. Oh, and I can cross cancel right here because I've got 2 even numbers, 8 and 18. I could at least divide both of those by 2 and make them a little smaller. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. 18 divided by 2 is 9. See, that helped me that much. Instead of multiplying 18 times 3, I'm just going to do 9 times 3. That's 27. 1 times 4 is 4. And now I've got 27 divided by 4. That's improper, and I know it won't go evenly. 4 won't go into 2, but it'll go into 27. Let's see, 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 7 is 28. So 4 times 7 is too much. So 4 will go into 27 6 times. And we said 4 times 6 is 24. Subtract 3, stop and rock. 6 3/4. And I know that's in simplest form because they're neighbors. And here's my answer. But let me tell you something else. If I would have gone across and said 18 times 3 and then 1 times 8, I would have still got an improper fraction. If I divided and rocked around the clock, I would have gotten a 6 and 6/8. And somebody may go ahead and grab that. But the key here is that they said to simplify your answer. And A would have been wrong. So watch that. If they're telling you to simplify your answer, you make sure you take heed to that and make sure your answer is in simplest form. Okay, let's look at 10. If 8 friends shared 1/5 kilogram of sugar, so we got some sharing going on. Think about what operation do we use when we share something? We divide. 8 friends shared 1/5 kilograms of sugar. How much will each person get? We know altogether there was 1/5, but they all shared it. So I've got to set up my problem, and we know we're dividing here. The first number we write down is the number that is getting shared, or the item that's getting shared. We know we've got 8 friends, and it says plainly they shared 1/5 kilograms of sugar. So since the sugar is what's getting shared, it has to go first. So there's 1/5 divided by 8. Now remember, when we divide, we keep it, switch it, flip it. So this will be 1/5. Instead of dividing, I'm going to multiply and flip this. If this is 8 over 1, now it's going to be 1 over 8. Come across. 1 times 1 is 1. 5 times 8 is 40. I know that's in simplest form because it has a 1 on top. And I see the answer right here is C. Also, remember the trick that I told you. When you look at a division problem involving fractions, look at your first factor. If it's a fraction, my answer will be a fraction. And I didn't need to call that a factor because I'm not multiplying. We're dealing with divisors and dividends. This would be my dividend because it would actually go inside the division house, wouldn't it? First number goes in. So I apologize. So remember, when our dividend, the first fraction in a division problem, if it's a fraction, my quotient will be a fraction. But if my dividend is a whole number, my quotient will be a whole number. So C is the answer here. Each person will get 1/40th kilogram of sugar. Okay, let's go to number 11. All right, it says 4 students solved this problem. 1/6 divided by 8. And I need to cover this so that it doesn't all blend in. The work of each student is shown on the table. Well, look what Daniel did. So they're all multiplying, so they're all using the same strategy of hopefully keep it, switch it, flip it. Now, if I do it, this will be 1/6. I keep it. This changes to multiplication. And this is 8 over 1, so now it will be 1/8. So all of these students did that. Who solved the problem correctly and why? Well, let's look. Daniel says 6 over 1. Oh, look what Daniel did. Daniel flipped the first fraction. He's wrong. I don't want Daniel. Look what Gary did. See if Gary did what I did. See, I go ahead and do like I would do and see who solved it like me. Okay, 1/6 times 1/8 equals 1 over 48. He multiplied top times top, bottom times bottom. Gary, I'm liking Gary. Put a smiley face there. Let's look at Jeannie. 1/6 times, okay, 8 over 1. Up, she didn't flip it, so I don't like Jeannie. Go to Roger. Look what Roger did. Roger flipped the first one. I don't want to flip that. Remember, we keep it. So I'm thinking Gary is right. So let's look what Gary says. Who solved the problem correctly? Gary, because he multiplied by the reciprocal. Remember that word reciprocal? Remember that means opposite. He multiplied by the opposite of the second number. Remember, the second number was 8, but the opposite, the reciprocal, means you flip it. So instead of 8 over 1, it becomes 1 over 8. So that's why I like Gary's answer, because he used the reciprocal. See, Daniel, it said he multiplied by both reciprocals. Well, he really didn't. Yes, he did. That's right. He flipped both of them. You're only going to have one reciprocal. It's the second number, and that's the one you flip. So basically, how I would advise you to do this, you go ahead and set it up like you would solve it and see who matches yours. Okay? Number 12. What is the value of 1/2 divided by 3? So we're just solving this. 1/2, set a division. We'll keep it, switch it, flip it. See, this is 3 over 1. So I'm going to switch to multiplying. Instead of 3 over 1, 1 over 3. Remember the reciprocal. This is the reciprocal. It's the opposite of this. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 3 is 6. 1/6, and I'm going with C. And I know that's in simplest form because it has a 1 on top. Okay, almost done. Rihanna correctly solved the equation shown by first rewriting it. 7 divided by 1/3 equals B. B just means the answer. They could have put X here, Y, T, R, S. It doesn't matter. 7 divided by 1/3 equals some answer. What is the solution to Rihanna's equation? What would B equal? So basically, we're just going to solve this. They've got 7 divided by 1/3. I'm going to keep it, switch it, and flip it. Remember the reciprocal. So instead of 1/3, 3 over 1, slap a 1 right here, come across. 7 times 3 is 21. 1 times 1 is 1, and my answer equals 21. Remember, when we're dividing fractions and whole numbers, look at your first number in the problem. In the original problem, if it's a fraction, your quotient will be a fraction. If it's a whole number, your quotient will be a whole number. And if you notice, we started with a whole number, so our quotient was a whole number. Now, I know once we get down here, we wind up multiplying it and it becomes a product, but let's don't try to get it complicated. If our original first number in the division problem with fractions is a whole number, then my final answer, however I get it, should be a whole number. So I'm going with D. Okay? All right. Last one. Which of the following expressions means it didn't get solved, is equivalent to 1/5 divided by 4? Now notice all of these. These are all multiplication problems. What do you think they did to make it go from division to multiplication? I hope you're thinking it's what we've been doing. When we say keep it, switch it, flip it, we are coming up with an equivalent expression to solve. So I would say keep it, switch it from dividing to multiplying, and then flip it from 4 over 1. Now it's going to be 1/4. So I'm looking for the one that's equivalent. It's going to be 1/5 times 1/4. And if you notice, that is B. Okay. I hope you understood this fairly well. I would advise you to go back and cover the answers and rework these to better prepare you for the test. If you have any questions, reach out to me and I'll try to help. Have a great day.